This is the bonus for you if you have a gap in your employment history, meaning a period of time that you weren't working and you're not really sure how to handle that. Before the great financial crisis started in 2007 2008, there was a stigma associated with people who had times when they were not working. And that's no longer the case. If you didn't lose your job during the great financial crisis, the chances are pretty high that someone in your family did. So now there's less stigma and more compassion for people with employment gaps. There are generally 6 reasons that people stop working. 1, they took time to find their next role, or maybe your spouse relocated and you had to follow them. Or perhaps there was a family emergency you had to deal with. Or maybe you just took time off to raise your family. Or you went back to school. Or maybe you even sat on the sofa. Whatever your reason, you'll need to have your explanation ready. It's best to tell employers what you're ultimately seeking and spin it into an employment asset. Did you take a year off to travel the world? That shows that you're able to interact well with all types of cultures, which is important in our global economy. When hiring managers and recruiters see a gap in your resume, there are 2 questions that they'll probably ask you. What did you do during that time to be productive? Meaning, did you take on a part-time job or contract work? How did you contribute to your community? Did you volunteer? The other question is, what did you learn from your experiences? Here are some ways that you can handle the employment gap on your resume. You could list the months that you spent working as a temporary employee. You could state the years that you were on sabbatical, or you could show the time that you spent traveling the world. Here are a couple of workarounds that you can use too. You don't have to call attention to your employment gap directly, especially if it was a short time period. It's not always necessary to spell out the exact amount of time that you weren't employed. You can simply list the jobs that you have held and the time frames that you've held them. Another option is to change your work history from dates to duration. This lets people know that when you were working, you spent a considerable amount of time in the role. I'll wrap up this section by reminding you that there's nothing to be ashamed of by taking time off from work. People are more understanding about employment gaps than ever before.